director and producer George Miller had his wife Margaret Sixel to edit Mad Max Fury Road. Miller said that she'd never cut an action movie before, and if it was edited by the usual kind of guys, it would look like every other action movie we see. She went on to win an Oscar for her editing work on the film. An FBI whistleblower reported multiple problems in forensic cases. After years of the FBI seeking to ruin him, his claims were eventually investigated, and a report showed that forensic hair analysis was flawed or inaccurate over 90% of the time. Javier Bardem's performance as Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men was named the most realistic depiction of a psychopath by an independent group of psychologists in a Journal of Forensic Sciences. American rapper Nas listed his then 7-year-old daughter, Destiny Jones, as an executive producer of his 5th studio album, Stillmatic, to ensure she would always receive royalty checks from the album. General Motors recalled 800,000 cars in 2014 for faulty ignitions. The cars would shut off while being driven, which meant drivers lost power steering while driving, and also brakes wouldn't work. And to make it worse, the airbags wouldn't deploy. GM knew about the problem since 2005 but never fixed it, because according to them, it would be too expensive. 124 people died. After the massive success of his #1 hit single, Somebody That I Used to Know, Gotye stopped recording solo music and went back to his old band, and hasn't released a song under the Gotye name ever since. In 2009, Burger King ran the Whopper Sacrifice campaign, which gave a free Whopper to anyone who deleted 10 friends on Facebook. Facebook suspended the campaign because Burger King was alerting people, letting them know they'd been dropped for a sandwich. After Lance Armstrong was stripped off his wins, 7 successive Tour de France races between 1999 and 2005 were officially declared without winners because so many riders who finished behind Armstrong were also associated with doping offenses. A group of engineering students from Purdue University reported that its licking machine, modeled after a human tongue, took an average of 364 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Dogs play sneeze when they're feeling excited or playful. Play sneezes mean your dog is having a good time and indicates to other dogs that their behavior is only play. Norway discovered oil in its country 40 years ago. Knowing the oil would eventually run out, they chose to invest it in a sovereign wealth fund. It's one of the most profitable funds in the world, valued at over $1.3 trillion, making Norway the 6th richest country in the world. Bats eat enough insects to save the U.S. over $1 billion a year in crop damage and pesticide. George Lucas, the film director and producer who created Star Wars, not only gave his blessings to make Spaceballs, a parody of the original Star Wars,
Your Schwartz is as big as mine.
He also handed the movie over to his special effects company, Industrial Light and Magic, to provide the space effects and post-production. Wayne Gretzky's stats were so far ahead of his peers that if you cut his entire career number in half, he's still one of the top 20 players of all time. In the operatic song in The Fifth Element, composer Eric Sierra purposefully wrote unsingable things so she'd sound like an alien. When opera singer Inva Mules came for the part, she sang 85% of what Eric thought was technically impossible. The rest was assembled in the music studio. After discovering he was being underpaid, Lonnie Johnson, the man who created the Super Soaker, the world's best-selling toy, sued Hasbro Toymaker and was awarded $72.9 million for unpaid royalties. Jonah Hill was only paid $60,000 to appear in The Wolf of Wall Street. The film studio used his desire to work with Martin Scorsese as leverage to pay him the lowest fee possible, whereas Leonardo DiCaprio, who also produced the film, was paid $10 million. Los Angeles is the first major city in the world to synchronize all its traffic lights. Nearly 4,400 lights across 469 miles receive real-time updates about traffic flow to make second-by-second adjustments. The system limits congestion by up to 16%, while also dramatically reducing idling time. The IRS still operates largely on mainframe computers running 60-year-old code. Outback Steakhouse was founded in Tampa, Florida by 4 Americans who have never visited Australia. They simply saw an opportunity to ride the wave of popularity of all things Australian following the 1986 film Crocodile Dundee. Their concept was American food and Australian fun. According to a 2011 study, SpongeBob SquarePants may be slowing down children's mental functions due to the show's frequent camera cut scenes. Findings suggest that watching just 9 minutes of the Nickelodeon show can cause short-term attention and learning problems in 4-year-olds. While alcohol made from apples is called cider, alcohol made from pears is called perry. Bananas naturally produce antimatter. Roughly every 75 minutes, 1 positron is produced by the trace amounts of potassium-40 that naturally occurs in bananas. Pop Rocks, Tang, and Cool Whip were all invented by one person, Dr. William A. Mitchell. A cancer treatment known as dynamic phototherapy has the side effect of giving humans a slight level of night vision. Under this treatment, the retina becomes able to process light at wavelengths higher than the visible light domain. Roughly 70% of all businesses in Sicily still pay protection money to the Sicilian mafia. The Maasai tribe in Africa donated 14 cows to the United States after 9/11. Research found that 94% of British people said they'd conversed about the weather in the past 6 hours, and 38% said they'd done it in the past 60 minutes. This means at any moment in the UK, a third of the population is either talking about the weather or has already done so, or is about to do so. Disney World is legally allowed to build a nuclear plant in Florida under a 1960s law. Ariana Grande had the words "small charcoal grill" tattooed on her hand in Japanese, instead of her song 7 Rings due to missing characters. The aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth has a reverse osmosis system, capable of producing more than 500 tons of fresh drinkable water per day from seawater. The new Rolls-Royce Ghost soundproofing was so over-engineered that occupants in the car found the near-total silence disorienting, and some even felt nauseous. Acoustic engineers had to go back and work on harmonizing various sounds in the car to add a continuous soft whisper. There's a 3,200-year-old Egyptian tablet that served as a bookkeeping record of excuses for why people missed work. Traditional grass lawns originated as a status symbol for the wealthy. Neatly cut lawns used solely for aesthetics became a status symbol, as it demonstrated that the owner could afford to maintain grass that didn't serve any purpose of food production. A duet sung by Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson remained unfinished because Mercury walked out of the recording studio. He couldn't tolerate Jackson bringing his pet llama into the studio. Ethiopia has a unique calendar which is 7 to 8 years behind the rest of the world. The current year in Ethiopia is 2014. Anna Nicole Smith never actually got any money when her 90-year-old husband died. His will left his entire $1.6 billion estate to his son, and she didn't receive a single dime. The Animal Planet reality series River Monsters ended because its star Jeremy Wade was able to catch essentially every exceptionally large freshwater fish species on Earth, leaving no remaining content for the show. Genghis Khan and his Mongol army wiped out 11% of the world's population in the 13th century. Cigarette filters are designed with color-changing chemicals that give the illusion they filter out toxins. In reality, the filters have little to no health benefits. It only takes the average person 10 to 20 minutes to fall asleep. There is a spider called the Darwin's bark spider, whose web is 10 times stronger than Kevlar. It's the toughest biological material ever studied. Blue Lake, located in Nelson, New Zealand, is the clearest lake in the world. Visibility in the lake is up to 80 meters deep, meaning the water is considered almost as optically clear as distilled water. The second wealthiest former NBA player behind Michael Jordan is Junior Bridgman, who's got a net worth of over $600 million. He worked at Wendy's in the off-season to learn how the business world operates. He eventually ended up owning over 100 franchises and a Coke bottling plant. When NBA player Zion Williamson's foot ripped through his Nike shoe during a game, causing him to slip and sprain his knee, Nike's stock valuation dropped $1.1 billion the next day. The Aboriginal people of Australia have occupied the land for more than 60,000 years. Migraines are 3 times more common in women than in men. In the USA, parents are 12.7% less likely to be happy than childless people. PhD students display twice as many symptoms of psychiatric disorders such as depression than other people. Queen Elizabeth II owns the largest clear-cut diamond in the world. Known as the Great Star of Africa, the 530-carat diamond was stolen, mined in South Africa back in 1905 and has an estimated worth of $400 million. The energy released by converting just 1 kilogram of hydrogen into helium is equivalent to burning 20,000 metric tons of coal. The United States has 1.4 billion pound stockpile of cheese stored in caves in Missouri. Gordon Ramsay has 16 Michelin stars. Only 2 chefs have ever earned more. Alain Ducasse, who has 21 Michelin stars, and Joel Robuchon, who has a whopping 31 Michelin stars. Reindeer is the only mammal that can change eye color to adjust the amount of light that enters their eyes in different seasons. They have golden eyes in the summer and blue eyes in the winter. 22% of the affluent Beverly Hills neighborhood population is of Iranian descent. The German city Wolfsburg was entirely built for the Volkswagen factory workers. It has one of the largest factories in the world at just under 70 million square feet. The roofs of all the factories combined are bigger than Monaco. The green slime from Nickelodeon is an edible mixture of vanilla pudding, oatmeal, applesauce, and green food coloring. When future NBA player Manute Bol, among the tallest players ever at 7 feet 7 inches, moved from Sudan to the U.S. for university at age 19, his passport was questionable and listed his height as 5 foot 2 inches. He said Sudanese officials measured his height when he was sitting down. Consumers lose $3 billion a year in unspent gift cards, with Starbucks itself having $140 million in unused gift cards. Carl Sagan's Cosmos was once the most widely watched series on American public television, and it's still the most widely watched PBS series in the world. Chinese checkers were invented in Germany in 1892 and called Chinese as part of a marketing scheme. In No Time to Die, the cobbled streets of Matera, Italy, did not have sufficient grip for the film's opening car chase. The crew got around this by pouring Coca-Cola all over the road, making it sticky and allowing the drivers to perform the stunts. The Nazi-funded search missions for the Holy Grail and other mythical objects inspired the creation of Indiana Jones. Batman's suit, arsenal of awesome gadgets, and secret identity were not created by Bob Kane. Gotham City was not even created by him. All these creations belong to Bill Finger, who died penniless, while Kane did everything he could to suppress Finger's involvement in creating the character. Steve Harvey sent a TV for Christmas every year to the teacher who said he'd never be on television. Purple became associated with royalty due to a shade of it named Tyrian purple, which was created using the mucus glands of murex snails. Even though it smelled horrible, this pigment was treasured in ancient times as a dye, because its intensity deepened with time instead of fading away. Dolly Parton sleeps with makeup on just in case she'd have to go out in the middle of the night if a natural disaster strikes. There are now more Spanish speakers in the United States
Hola.
than there are in Spain. No human has beaten a computer in a chess tournament in over 15 years. In 2017, Kylie Minogue won a trademark lawsuit against Kylie Jenner over the name Kylie, with Minogue's lawyer calling Jenner a secondary reality television personality. Salvador Dali once conned Yoko Ono into paying $10,000 for a single blade of grass. Yoko had offered to pay that amount for one of his mustache hairs, but he substituted it for a blade of grass because he thought that Yoko Ono was a witch and might use his hair in a spell. It took Taco Bell food engineers 2 years and 40 different recipes to create the Doritos Loco Taco, and it became so popular that it led to Taco Bell adding 15,000 jobs, propelling the company to outgrow Pizza Hut, KFC, and even McDonald's. Let us know of your favorite fun fact of the day in the comments section below. Now click and watch the following videos right now. Trust me, you wouldn't want to miss them.